If you're thinking about selling a home this year, tonight, tomorrow, next week, whatever it is, the rest of this year, this video is just for you because it actually goes over what to expect, and buyers, okay, buyers are starting to regain their purchasing power, or excuse me, they're regaining their power here in our local housing market. Now, I actually have an article by Ryan Lundquist over at SacramentoAppraisalBlog.com, which, again, if you have yet to check him out, please go check him out. He does a fantastic job on everything local, our local real estate market. Now, before we get into the article himself, thanks for tuning in. My name is Joshua, local realtor here in the Roseville and surrounding Sacramento areas. Now, we could jump right into it. So, this is from SacramentoAppraisalBlog.com, and buyers are gaining the power and farewell to the real estate honeymoon phase. Now, sellers haven't had to negotiate very much with buyers over the past 2 years, but that is changing. Now, a whopping 35% of active listings in the Sacramento region have had a price reduction. This is a big change from the market we just had a few months ago. Now, the honeymoon phase is over. The market, in Ryan's terms, was like the housing market was in a honeymoon for nearly 2 years. Nothing but glowing stats, mimosas, and a tropical paradise. This is coming from Ryan himself. Now, of course, the honeymoon stage is over, and the doomsday perspective would say a divorce, and a very ugly one, is coming into the future, even maybe this year, but I'm not in that camp, not quite yet. So expect more concessions. We're poised to see sellers have to negotiate more often with the buyers. So expect to see more credits for repairs and closing costs, or just a simple price reduction instead. Now, the quick rise in the number of active listings, so sellers have much more competition right now. We've become really used to the analytics, we become really used to the anemic supply, so having about 3,000 active listings feels like a massive amount, even though closer to 4,000 would be in a normal market. So now, in short, we're poised to see supply continue to rise since we're seeing fewer pending contracts. Therefore, more listings are staying on the market. So seller concessions won't happen in every transaction, but this will hands down be the one thing that we see more frequently due to buyers regaining their power lately. And a few things to know about the concessions themselves. Ever since rates dipped below 3% in the summer of 2020, we've seen fewer concessions being given to buyers. This means that sellers, which haven't been offering credits for repairs or helping to cover the closing costs as much as they were doing previously, about 42% of transactions had concessions in July of 2020. Now, that number has been closer to 25% over the past couple of months. And you can see here in this graph, you go back from 2020 backwards to 2016. Yep, 2016. You could see that there's the percent of sales with concessions in Sacramento County was on the rise. And then when mortgage rates came down, obviously the concessions came down with it. And you topple that with the lack of inventory, which we're beginning to see it rise. Now you can start to see the concessions are starting to come back more alive. Now you can see here, this is the number of sales compared to with sales with concessions. And going back into 2019, which Ryan has also said that was our last quote unquote healthy marketplace, we had right around 600 with concessions, and right now we're still at that just over that 300 level mark. So obviously we would need to see this continue to rise for it becomes it's becoming something, but before we start to change our stance on the housing market. Now, So there's more concessions coming in at the lower price point homes. For instance, between $400,000 and $500,000 homes so far in 2022, about 30.3% of all these transactions have had concessions with them. Now above 1.2 million, only 16.2% of sales have actually had concessions with those transactions. Now, my take on that actually is the houses that I've seen and gone and toured and helped with the transaction on, I have seen those homes just have price reductions in them and they don't really have any concessions on there. So as we move on to the Roseville data, this is all the active listings here in all of Roseville. And you can see we have 257 active listings compared with in the past 15 days, we have seen 93 homes reduce their price. Now we can see that the majority of the homes are coming in right around, let's go to page 1. So they're coming in right at the 500,000. Yeah, they're the 500,000 to 1.4 million range in Roseville that are getting these price reductions. Now, what this means if you're a seller in today's marketplace is just to be prepared. If you're not getting a lot of foot traffic for your house, you're not getting as many offers as you would like. When that offer does come in, that is a strong offer, be sure to at least be open to the idea of negotiating right around $3,000, maybe $5,000 in credits. If we go over to Ryan's article, which I just forgot to show you, far in 2022, over 26% of all sales in the MLS have been listed with concessions to the buyers. And among these sales, 91.6% gave the credit under $10,000, meaning we're overall seeing a modest dollar amount given to the buyer. And then if we go over here to the average concession amount, it has been about $4,987 in 2022. And in Sacramento County this year, it's been about $5,000 that we've seen, and it's very rare to see anything above $20,000, and especially there's only been one above $30,000. And if it does, I mean, it does happen, but the bulk of the blue dots are coming in way below $10,000 level, with the average of $4,987 given to the buyer. Now that's the average. It doesn't happen in all the markets. And what this actually means for the seller, we'll do sellers first and then go on to the buyers. But what this means for the seller is just be prepared. You know, where interest rates are rising, you gotta understand where the buyers are coming from, especially if you get one or two offers that are very strong with great terms. And we look all through their financing to make sure they're very capable and qualified with their offer. Just to be open about giving a concession. It's not asking for a lot, given that home prices are still very great for the sellers, but just be open to that idea if that offer comes around and they may be asking for any kind of, $4,000, $5,000. So now if you're a buyer, it's very good that we are starting to see concessions happen. Now, this doesn't mean, as the article Ryan just said in his article, doesn't mean that every property all throughout the Sacramento regions and in Placer County regions are going to have concessions, but it does mean that the market is being more open and being able to work more with buyers than it has before in the past. So it's a great time for both buyers and sellers in this marketplace. And who knows, as we've been going over the data, that could change for either the seller or the buyer side at any month's notice due to the market conditions and still just being uncertainty in the marketplace. As I'm sure if you're in the stock market at all, you know about all the volatility and the crazy swings. We're not seeing that crazy volatility in real estate, but again, everything is just super fast paced. Well, that is it for me. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and I will see you next time.